Hey there! Welcome to the Youth for Youth channel, the place where young people share real stories, real struggles, and real wins. If you're passionate about growth, impact, or becoming your best self, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Oghenero Ugbune, cordially known as Nero, is a devoted child of God with a heart ablaze to serve and nurture disciples for Christ. By day, Nero leverages his expertise as an information security professional at a leading international bank in Nigeria, driving innovation in the cybersecurity landscape while undergoing continuous personal development by night. Nero pursued and earned his master's degree in information and digital forensics from the prestigious University of East London. Thank you so much for joining us, Nero.
Thank you, Mary.
It's an honor to have you here.
Twice as mine.
Let's jump right into it. So, you wear many hats. You're a pastor, you're a leader, you're a cybersecurity professional, and a graduate student. You just completed your master's degree. I mean, you did all of this at once, right? So, I'm curious, how do you manage your time, and what fuels your motivation across these demanding roles?
When you put it like that, when you call all of those things, it's giving superhero vibes and superpower vibes. And I'm like,
who did all of
it didn't
this?
feel like during that time. But okay, yes. A number of them, okay. Basically everything you mentioned, true, and a lot more by the grace of God.
Of course, definitely.
So when we say time management, to be honest, I'll be sincere, it was not easy. It was not easy at all. There were times, there were seasons where I physically had to do delayed gratification, right?
Wow.
So most of the time, I would have to squeeze out time. Prioritization, of course, was it for me. I had to set my priorities right. Okay, this is at the forefront for me. Career is here, ministry is here. And I had to make sure they were working on parallel lines, nothing affecting the other one. As well, family, because sooner or later we're gonna start building families, right? Okay. If you know, you know. Let's leave it at that. But yes, that one is also there. And they're like, so yes, priority was it for me. Then my schedules, because schedules are always difficult. Weekends are for, church ministry, because it goes beyond church as well. There are always retreats and that people want to see you. You have to have counseling sessions and the likes. That would happen most times during the weekends or after work. And also, how then can you skill up as a tech bro? Oh, by the way,
very important.
Sorry. I have to just do the Udi thing. Yeah, don't mind me. I came repping the cybersecurity game. Okay, so yes, scheduling was very, very important for me, and also self-care, because without this body, I can't even do all of these. So there are times I would just say, I'm not reading, I'm not doing anything. You understand? And most times, apart from, studies, apart from upskilling, I also trade the financial markets. So sometimes over the night, I am not sleeping.
Oh my God.
And because of that, always, studying the charts and all, like, it can be a lot sometimes. So yes, that has been it for me: prioritization, self-care, and scheduling. That's it.
So is it like at different times you have different priorities? So maybe at this time your graduate course would be top of the list, then another time trading would be top of the list. So it varies like that, and you just manage to squeeze in everything at the same time.
Yes, actually.
That's interesting.
At a point in time, I basically had to stop trading for some months because it was not going to be sustainable for me. Then I had to focus on just, school and career. Then at some point, I'm glad that school is over. So now it's more like I can focus on other areas of life as well. And yes. Oh, by the way, I accept all of that.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
From what I picked, we need to schedule and prioritize at different times based on whichever one is more urgent, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, so let's talk about your profession now. You're a cybersecurity professional. What sparked your interest in cybersecurity? How did your journey in this field begin?
Okay, what sparked my interest in cybersecurity?
Yeah.
Okay, thank God I already mentioned that I trade the financial market. So, sometime back during the pandemic, right? That's 2019, 2020. That was like the peak of my trading career as a then. I
Okay.
did not even know what cybersecurity was or, anything at all. And yes, because I studied engineering, I was hoping that I would never use it. I would just trade away my life, yeah. But okay, joking apart, at that point, I think there was a little, would I say, glitch. I had an experience, an encounter, which
Okay.
made me, I ran into losses based on, let's just put it this way, I got duped by
Ooh.
cyber criminals. You get, and that
Ooh.
was using crypto. So because of that, it just kept a scar somewhere in me, and I was like, oh no, oh no, oh no. You get. Now
Mm-hmm.
fast forward to when I was almost done with my, NYSC, and I was already like, nah, I don't want to always be physically present with mechanical engineering. I wanted something I could do from anywhere. And then a friend, we were discussing one day, and a friend just mentioned, have you thought about cybersecurity? And I was like, what is cybersecurity again? It's not those people that used to hack and do this and
Yeah.
break into phones, break into systems. I was like, no, it's not cut out for me, Jerry. That kind of thing. And well, I gave it a second thought. I'm glad I did. I'm really glad I did. And I was already looking into it. Okay, do we need much of coding? Most
Mm.
of us run away from coding, unlike
Yeah.
Ant-Man developers like you.
I beg.
Yeah. So, we are just like, oh, does it deal with coding? So the fallacy as a then was, oh, you don't need, okay, they said
Coding.
much of coding. He said you can survive without coding. So we went headlong, into it. But now, if you ask me, do you need coding? Well, you actually need to understand how coding works.
Oh,
Yes. But
really?
anyway, yeah. But let's just move away from that for now. So
Okay.
how did I now transition? Let's just say I was getting a little bit involved. I was reading up stuff, the CIA triad, all of those things, beginner level, taking
All
a
of those
Cisco.
things. I don't know all of those things, so I don't know
Oh, my bad.
them.
My bad. I think
Exactly.
in Cisco Introduction to Cybersecurity, there was this training on from UpSwat. I'd seen the ISC trading module as well. That's ISC squared. All of those. So I was going through them, just gathering all of this. I did not know, or let me put it this way: little did I know that opportunity would meet
Mm.
preparation.
Mm.
So interestingly, I saw a role into one of the banks then. Okay, it
Okay.
was a tech boot camp. I applied for it to go in via this stream and I got in, right?
Mm.
But it was not necessarily at the end of the day when I got in, the major was not cybersecurity.
Okay.
But at the end, I said, oh, I still wanted this. So I had to transition to move into another organization for same role and eventually it came in handy. But then that was application support plus all I had learned previously
Mm.
combined together, and that was how I got in. So it's not
Interesting.
something magical. It was a journey basically.
Yeah, yeah. So it started from a conversation with a friend, and then you took up courses, and from there you applied for a role, and you just one step after the other, you got into cybersecurity. You mentioned some courses which you took. I think I heard Cisco, I heard the Z Swap or something like that. I'm not
Upswat.
very familiar with cybersecurity terms, but I would just like to
Okay.
ask for young people who are interested in cybersecurity but don't know where to start, or they've probably
Hmm.
started and maybe it's complex. You mentioned that there is coding which you did not expect at the beginning, so maybe they're finding that complexity in their learning curve. What practical first steps do you give for those who are interested and would like to start for the first time? And what other steps would you give for those that have started but don't know how to
Hmm.
proceed?
Okay. So I would love to put it this way. Because it's cybersecurity is a journey and there are different arms to cybersecurity. So when
Okay.
I said there is a part that will speak to coding, right? Of course, when developers develop and build things, you
Mm-hmm.
need people to secure them. How would you
Mm-hmm.
secure something you do not even understand? Right?
Yeah.
So
So
that's
that's
just the same
that's
way.
like application securities. Is that it?
Exactly,
Hey,
application
I sabi me.
security. Actually, right? Those in the area of vulnerability assessment and penetration testing, when you want to break into applications,
Yeah.
manipulate web applications and the likes, you actually need to understand how they were even built in the first place to, outsmart them. But yes, for beginners, I would say first and foremost would be, like I said, I started with the basics, Introduction to Cybersecurity, Cisco. That's like I don't know, it's like the number one introduction course I see most people take. And
Okay.
I would not lie, it is very good. It helps you to be at least grounded at the basic level, right? Talks about a number of things, I think. It talks about the OSI model, the CIA triad, all those things you need to have a conversation about information security, right? Because information security is the broad overview. But now when it
Okay.
comes to different roles, would have okay, you can be a security analyst, you can be in the SOC Security Operations Center, that you will now be basically monitoring logs and alerts. Those are the people who are always in the they're always monitoring logs and alerts real time, every single time. In most organizations, you have an entire room filled with screens and all, and that's all they do. It should even run 247 in the sense. Now there's application security, there's cloud security. The cloud security, sometimes people want to put it within cybersecurity, some people want to put it outside, but all of these things, they're just multiple places. So for you to even know where you fit in, it might take a while, right?
Okay.
So as a beginner, what you will first want to do is start with the basics, very, very important. And there are so many online resources to help you with. We've said OPSWAT, we've said ISC2, we've said Cisco. There are even CTF, we call them Capture the Flag challenges.
Okay.
Right. So if you engage in CTF, some of them are game-like. So you are even learning and it's interesting, it's interactive, that kind of thing. And you can also play these things with other people. You can engage in challenges and the likes. Some, of course, there are hackathons here and there. When we use the word hackathon, it sounds so big. When people say, oh, there's an hackathon, you're like,
to be honest, I even thought
some people
hackathon
even
was like software engineering thing. I didn't know they do that in cybersecurity.
So some people even think hackathon is some are like it's for hackers because of the name hackathon, and I'm
Hackathon.
like,
Yeah.
oh, not really. But yeah. So you can do all of that, and then there are hands-on experiences you can get. There is this online platform, Forage. Forage. You can get a number of simulations there. There is the Commonwealth simulation. There's just a number of them. From that, you can learn how to do a phishing simulation. You can learn how to do at least you can dabble a bit into VAPT. All of these are right on Forage. You can just go there and you see a number of them. That's for beginners because you want to have practical hands-on experience. There are online communities, of course, online communities, a number of them.
I was
In
going to
fact,
ask about
some are
that.
paid for, some are actually
Okay.
paid for. Like there's a particular, there are so many on LinkedIn, there are others on, all of these regular platforms we use for tech. And of course, there are paid ones. There are paid ones. Don't mind me. I always love to go premium. So you'll most likely find me.
Premium or nothing. Oh,
Don't mind me. Don't mind me. It's just because I feel like I feel like
there's
to get
more.
value, exactly,
Yeah.
there's more. And it streamlines your journey. Instead of looking everywhere, gathering everything, because it happens a lot when people are starting in cybersecurity, they grab onto, when someone is trying to swim, or rather when someone who is swimming is drowning and they cannot help themselves, they try to grab anything and they can even
Anything.
pull you down if you're
Yeah.
not careful. That's exactly how it is for people who try to dabble into cybersecurity because there's a lot choking you. You don't know if some are pulling you towards JRC, some are pulling you into VAPT, some are pulling you into AppSec. Before you know it, you are even lost. You don't even know where you're going anymore. You get so because of
Yeah.
that, you might want to get into online communities. Also, mentorship. We
Yeah.
cannot underplay that. In fact,
Yeah.
how did I personally get a mentor in this space? Remember, I said I was having this conversation with my friend. My
Yeah.
friend was like, my cousin is this. I was like, oh, your cousin. Okay. Instantly, as I was saying, your cousin, what's his name? I was on LinkedIn. I was looking at him. I was checking out his profile. I was seeing certifications. I was seeing, I was like, boy, get profile. That kind of thing. So I
Yeah.
now went, after going through, I was like, it looks like someone who knows his onions and, of course, can enlighten me. I had a call before my first interview with him,
Oh,
and he
wow.
basically wanted to ace the
You
job,
really
sister.
reached
Come
out.
on. I actually reached
Interesting.
out. No.
Nice,
When you want
nice.
something real bad, when you really want something, you go for it.
You go
So
for
I
it.
actually reached
Fact.
out. We had a call. I think it was sometime in the evening. It was lengthy. I think almost an hour or so, trying to run through the basics, trying to ask questions. He wanted to know if I was, there at least. And at the end of the day, well, okay, this can work, you get. And
Nice.
also over the years, I've seen people reach out on LinkedIn. Most are in school. They're like, oh, I'm in school. I want to know, should I get into this? Can you guide me? And of course, I won't be a terrible person. Someone guided me when I was
Of
starting
course.
out. So most times I'm always open to listen to them. So when they say, I'm like, okay, no problem. Can we fix a session? Can we put a call through? Most times Google Meet. If they're open to sharing contacts on WhatsApp, then we can then take it up from there. You get, but there are a number of them. I think about students from Babcock, mostly from private universities, because they are
Interesting.
always, I don't know, that's very interesting. And they're always open to, oh, we're already doing this in school. In fact, there is this course they said I should pay 650,000 for. Should I go ahead? Sometimes I'm like, wait, 650,000. What are they offering you? Are they offering you a global certification that will last you a
I
lifetime?
mean, that's a lot of
Do
money.
not don't mind me, but it's the way I think.
Yeah.
And especially because I know already that when you want to get even certified in cybersecurity by ISC Square, that's CC, it's literally free. Of course, it's
Wow.
it's a little bit above $100, but you can get the free voucher. The free voucher has been running for years. It has not stopped up till now, so you can actually get that. Is it EJPT certification? It's not up to 650,000 naira. So I, as a person, feel like some of these things are just overpriced, and because they're capitalizing on their zest and their thirst for knowledge. So that's it for me, basically. Mentorship, hands-on experience, online resources. As a beginner, all of this should be your friend. And don't be scared to reach out. Don't be scared to reach
Yeah.
out. In fact, some people reach out simply because they want to know. They say, I know what it means to be technical. I've done a little bit of technical things with Bob Sweet, all those applications, they've broken things. And they're like, how does it really play in the real world? Do
Yeah.
you break things every day? What is a day like in the life of a cybersecurity analyst? That kind of thing. Follow me on a day with exactly. Some of them really want to know, what is a day like there? What metrics do they use to, calculate if you are winning or if you are failing or if you're actually doing your job? And sometimes I'm like, everything isn't what it seems to be. But anyway, that's it for me. Just, interact with people and you will have what you want. Thank you.
Amazing. I love the fact that you even mentioned that mentorship because you can get confused when you're just starting out. I think it applies to all tech roles. Because even in software engineering,
Yeah,
you don't even know which one you want to start with. So it's very good to have a
exactly.
mentor that's gone ahead, that knows the right courses to do, the right paths to take. Because if I end up spending
Mm-hmm.
650,000 in a course that does not matter to me, that does not matter to my goals, it will
Mm-hmm.
pay me. So, so thank you. I noted reach out to communities, have a community, take courses, both free ones, paid ones, because I mean, it's the value you're going after. You know what your long-term goals are. So don't be afraid of paying for
Yeah.
courses. Don't be afraid of reaching out to people, asking for help on LinkedIn, reach out to people that you know that have gone ahead of you and, plan your life, plan your career, and plan your goals. Now, I would like to know what is a
Hmm.
day in the life of a cybersecurity expert like? What is it like on the job now? On the job, what's that like? And what
Hmm.
skills? So we've mentioned, oh, you need certain courses, certain certifications, right? But on the job, really, what's that like?
Okay. Interesting. So now remember, beyond cybersecurity, also in church, in ministry, most times when I'm talking, there's always a limitation to what I can say because cybersecurity is giving CIA
Oh,
vibes,
true,
right?
true, true, true,
You
true.
cannot always, explicitly say everything. It's like you have to
Yeah.
breathe your tongue, watch what you say, and the likes. But yeah, let me see what I can do.
Okay.
So
Spill it.
in the life in the life of a cyber chap, let me put it that way. So regularly, of course, we come to work in the morning, right? We have what we call business as usual activities,
Hmm.
BAUs, which we have to carry out every single day. So when you, of course, come into the office, you do your regular checks. Now there are, in fact, something that comes in about 2 to 3 times a week would be changes and modification in the environment. Oh, okay, because I'm in the financial institution, for instance, right?
Hmm.
I would easily say that changes occur almost every day, and we have to scrutinize these changes. A change most times we deal with a change in the code. right? It could be on the a change on the web interface. So all of these things, when they make these changes, we have to assess them. So security assessment is a regular thing we do. We always do security assessments. We do cybersecurity risk impact assessments. We could even try to look at the impact, I mean, the data privacy impact as well. Although we have um, we have a tech barrister, let me put it that way, who does that for us in the organization. It's one of the few organizations who have a barrister cut out for that role because we really want to see the law implications as well. But then when looking at the risk assessment, we analyze a lot of things, the code, the URLs as well. The APIs, yes, because we have to do an API pen test on it. So I'm speaking from the angle of VAPT because that's my space, right? So that's where I'm speaking from. I'm not speaking from the SOC perspective or the
VAPT, that's
GRC
vulnerability assessment, something, yeah?
and penetration testing.
Penetration
Yes, they're the
testing.
ones who do the breaking and that kind of thing. And it's dabbles a little bit. It's intertwined in a way with application security. If we look at it, yeah. So when we do security assessments for most of the changes, modifications, and new implementations that the developers have brought, yeah, that's why most times it's not like we're always friends with developers because it's always like remediate, fix this, fix that, and you're like, it will break, what will break, that kind of thing. But yeah, we are always trying to make sure that we are on the top of our game so that everything will be secure, and we are actually best friends if you look at it eventually, because we're all looking towards the good of the organization. So beyond risk assessments, beyond pen testing, because of course when we're doing our assessment there are different kinds of assessments. There's the static assessments when you're reviewing the code, there is the dynamic assessments, you're interacting, there's the API assessment, interacting with the APIs, dynamic assessments, the application has gone live and you're interacting with it. Like there are just so many when you're also doing assessments for the infrastructure. So these are like before you finish doing all of these, 1 week has gone, the next week has gone, so that's basically the daily life of cybersecurity chap, a cyber trap. Yeah.
Nice.
Thank you.
So you mentioned especially those that are into vulnerability, VAPT. That means so that would mean you have an idea of coding, right? At least you interact with codes on a daily basis. Is that it?
Okay. So because you're always interacting with codes, lines of codes, it won't make any sense for you not to know what they mean, right? So for instance, you would have to say, although thank God, these days now people always say, oh, thank God for AI, right? If they are lost, even the developers know what I'm talking about.
Of course.
So what I'm trying to say is, of course, you would understand that when you see a particular line of code, for instance, you could easily know when you are referencing something else. You can know when in quotes there is concatenation. You can know when there's encryption. You can know the encryption algorithm. All of those things, at least you will know when you can see them on the line of code, right? Because most of the vulnerabilities on these codes, we use some tools. The tools we outline give recommendations, but who would advise the developer on the recommendations? It's still you as the analyst.
So you need to say it
You would
in a
have
way
to
they can understand. Yeah.
Exactly. And when you are reading their code and you don't even understand their code, how do you explain it to them in their own language? That okay, this has, let's say for instance, the most terrible one I as a person, I won't even like hard-coded password. That's a security flaw. Imagine having an hard-coded password, meaning that the password is there written in plain text. Anybody can see it if they have access to the code base. Now, if I as a person, I see it in your line of code, by the way, if you see lines of code and you can't even fish out things, you might not even understand what it means. And when you see hard-coded password, you might just say, okay, you might just overlook it. But as a security analyst, I've seen that with this hard-coded password, what I need you to do is encrypt. I don't want you encoding. Anybody can decode, right? Once they have a decoder. Yeah. So I need you to encrypt. And encrypt in what encryption algorithm? Is it AES? You get an AES, okay, is it CBC, is it GCM? All of these things. I would then say, okay, this is our standard. Of course, thank God for structured organizations. They always have standards upon standard. Our standard here is this. Kindly use this. If you are not encrypting, you can also use an environment variable, for instance, where you make reference to that password somewhere else on the server. So just, all of these things. That's basically what I mean by understanding the code. And also by extension, thankfully, we have a robust team. My team lead, very sound, very sound. And also, another of my colleagues used to be a developer in the past.
Oh,
So he
wow.
on you know what I mean? So when you transition
Mm-hmm.
from being a developer into a security man,
Oh my God. He's
you know
going to
that kind
know
of thing.
everything.
You
Nice.
get so it's
Yeah.
like when the developers are saying some things and it's like
You
that kind
can't
of stuff.
bobo
I'm like,
me.
oh, okay, that kind of stuff. So most times it's easy. That's why this is not something you do by yourself or by yourself. You have to
Mm,
also, relate. It's a teamwork,
yeah.
right? It's like basically, so that's it for me. And of course, yes, I had to learn a bit of what does this code even mean? What is C sharp? What is
Mm,
Java? Oh yes, and developers use different IDEs,
of course.
right? So, and sometimes we want to implement a plugin. We want to make sure they're using a plugin so they can also see some vulnerabilities from their end. I
Mm-hmm.
remember when I was to start that project with a number of developers, I was like, oh my goodness. I had to start looking for, okay, what is Visual Studio? I remember at some point, you remember at some point I had to call you, hell, Alpha, what's
Yes.
the difference between Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code? Like, there is no harm in asking questions.
Yeah.
And then also there is IntelliJ, there's Eclipse, like all of these things. I didn't know they existed. But
Mm-hmm.
well, here we are now. And we thank God
Nice.
for it.
Nice, nice. Thank you so very much for sharing with us what a day in the life of a cyber chap looks like.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I'm curious, what does growth in the cybersecurity field look like? You've mentioned that you start out with courses and, all of those skills, but would growth mean more certifications or more years of experience or I don't know. What's that about?
Okay. Hmm. As it relates to cybersecurity, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we measure growth in a number of things. For some people, growth would mean number of certifications. That, of course, does not hold water everywhere because it's
Okay.
not a universal conclusion. So for some, they will say, oh, once you have the CISSP, you are the
Yeah.
top 5% of the career, yes. But for some, that's speaking of certifications. For some, they will use number of experience. For some, it's your number of projects that you have under
Okay.
your belt. The number of projects, for instance, you've implemented SSO across those and so platforms. You've done ID plugin integration across, for all of those things, you can be saying, oh, I've done this, I've done this, I've done that. I've implemented um, privilege access management, identity and access management effectively
Mm-hmm.
using this solution, Okta, Cyber. You can just be calling all of these things. But for some people, it's the amount of course, your project would mean your level of
Mm.
hands-on experience,
Yeah.
how much hands-on you've been. Yeah. So there are just different ways, different ways. So, but personally to me, beyond your technical skills, beyond your problem-solving skills, which are very important, I feel like success should be measured on how analytical you can be. How can you break down
Mm.
a complex situation into, smaller bits? How can you groom other people? How can you replicate yourself on others?
Others.
How can you transfer knowledge to other people? It's not enough to know everything. Of
Mm-hmm.
course, that cannot happen, but it's not enough
Definitely.
to know everything in a space, in a particular niche, right? For instance, you
Mm.
say, oh, as far as privilege access management, PAM is concerned, you are the boss of it, and yet nobody can
Knows
understand it
that.
as close to the way you can. Then you've really not achieved much because you've just been carrying yourself alone. And what it means is that, we love to say that leadership is a journey whereby you can gather people, replicate yourself in people, and make sure people follow you the way you have also gone the way. So if you cannot effectively do this, to me, you have not really succeeded as a professional because
Mm.
you have not communicated properly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
it for me. You should
Yeah.
be analytical, technical, and also you should be able to replicate yourself on other people.
Mm.
And
Nice. That's powerful. And that applies to all professions now, not just cybersecurity.
Mhm.
So in getting a job now, Right. You mentioned you can tell them, oh, you've implemented so thing in a particular project and all of that. For software engineering, which is my own background, I know you need to show proofs, like show your projects. They can ask you, okay, what have you built? And you have like a project to show them that this is what I've built. They can assess it and see that this is what you've built, right? But for cybersecurity, how do you show them that? Is it that you tell them, oh, I implemented this? Is there a way for them to check? Like what do you show as your proofs in a job interview? I don't know.
You know why I'm laughing? Because I think some recently someone I referred someone, right, who said, okay, he could there was a position, there was an opening, and I said, oh, okay, you should be able to do this, right? Are you in this space? He said, oh, yes, it's in this space. I said, see, don't lie to me, because if you lie to me, they will catch you.
They'll
You know
catch
that kind
you.
of thing. Like cybersecurity is not somewhere you can lie. You
Oh.
get, all these tech rules, you really cannot lie well,
Yeah.
because if the person knows what they are doing, they will catch you. Imagine, for instance, I can tell you are not in the cybersecurity niche. There are words I can begin to say that will confuse you.
Of
Before
course.
you would even know what to search or ask AI, you'll be lost during the interview. You'll be taken off balance. So,
Yeah.
all those kind of things will make it easy for them to catch you. So, this particular guy said, oh, you could do this. By the way, it was already in the cybersecurity field, just
Okay.
that it was in a different niche.
Okay.
Now, he wanted to take an experienced role in another niche. I said,
Okay.
see, come clean and let them understand that this is where you are. So they can begin to say, okay, do we have a role here that we can easily push you to? But he decided to say no, it was here. And guess what?
They caught him.
From the very first, why not? I trust my sister. From the very first question like this, it was already like,
Mm,
and leaders are not all that patient during interviews. If you
of
don't know it, you
course.
don't know it, and they can easily tell. So
Mm-hmm.
that was it. And secondly, if you do not know these things, your confidence won't be there. You can't
Okay.
say, "Oh,
True.
I've implemented this." The next question is, "Oh, you've implemented single sign-on. What protocol did you use?" The moment you are looking at me and you cannot mention anything, I'm like, "Oh."
You
Then the
really
next
have no
question I would
idea.
you get, and the next thing
Mm-hmm.
I would ask you is, okay, what is OAuth? What does OAuth mean? In fact, I will not even ask you for the full meaning, because of course you can Google it. I'd ask
Mm-hmm.
you, what is the advantage of OAuth, or rather, why did you choose to use this protocol over others? And you just be there staring at us, because you
Mm.
really will not know what to say. You get
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or, okay, you say you've used this solution to run vulnerability assessment, as likely as that would sound. My next question would be, okay, you use this particular application. Why this application? When using this application, how many other assessments can you carry out with it?
Mm.
Is it just SAST? Is it just DAST? Is it just MAST? And the person will be like, okay, she gets. But for you to document all of this, it's very possible. We also use GitHub, right? You can
Mm.
also have your own online portfolio. You can put links to projects you've done in the sense that, okay, you have your personal platform where you've implemented single sign-on, for instance. I love to use single sign-on because it's something anyone can still have, right? You can just put a link towards the page. You can click on it, they can get there. All of these things. So the way it applies to software engineering, it also applies to cybersecurity. But if
Oh,
you don't
okay.
have your online portfolio and they are to interview you and interrogate you, please don't lie. Please, it's best you just say, oh, this is how things are. Come clean, right? They say
Mm-hmm.
he who must come, he who must come before the law must come with clean hands, right?
Clean hands. Yeah.
Exactly. Equity can't be balanced without clean hands. Yeah.
True. So is it that you have the knowledge or you don't? And just
Yeah,
complain
you
about
you
it.
can't fake it. You can't fake
Yeah.
it, honestly.
Yeah. Interesting. Interesting. And you've been talking a lot about AI, how AI is important. Me as a software engineer, I know how much AI has been helping my life and my career. I can't even lie. But then
Mm-hmm.
there's increasing concerns about AI replacing tech roles, right? A lot of people are
Hmm.
saying software engineering, AI is replacing software engineers. We already know that one in some ways, though not altogether, right? But I would like to know from your perspective in cybersecurity, how is AI impacting your field? That's as a threat or as a tool? How is it impacting?
Hmm. Hmm. Sorry, let me sip my juice. Hmm. I would have asked, sorry, can AI do that for me? But I won't, I'm not shading
Ah!
AI. I'm not shading AI. But okay. So speaking about AI, yes, artificial intelligence.
Mm.
Okay. How it's impacting my field, I'll just go right into it. For the cyberspace, for instance, we know that we have threat actors, right? And they're always getting, they're getting sophisticated by the day, and the
Mm-hmm.
like. And now with the presence of AI, even people who are not so much knowledgeable about the field can easily, utilize it in the wrong way. So AI has helped. AI is also causing problems.
Mm.
Why? We now have more sophisticated attacks because of AI.
Oh,
Hmm.
wow.
Honestly, some now we even have what we call AI-powered attacks. We have the traditional attacks where people can, easily, do what they want to do. But now with AI, in fact, AI can even make it more difficult to actually identify these
Mm.
things. We have a kind of attack we call the advanced persistent threats, right? These ones can be salient, you would never know they are there. So if you
Mm.
now begin to utilize AI in such implementations now, it will be difficult for people to, or rather, let's say it will be difficult for the traditional people to easily identify that, okay, something is going on here.
Mm-hmm.
How do I even stop it? How do I mitigate against this? But when you, as a person, which now brings us to the positive end of AI, where you, as a cybersecurity chap, are now AI literate,
Mm.
when you now know how to use AI, you are now using what we call focus-driven AI security. At that
Okay.
point in time, they cannot come and share you. They cannot come and oppress you. Why? Because for every bus, there is an
There's a
equal and
ghost.
opposite goal. You get? So as they are bringing it to you hot with their AI threats and all, they are modifying with AI. You can also bring yours as well. She get. So for instance, I remember there was a conference one time, and it was baffling that people can easily carry, there are things, for instance, we're talking about um hard-coded password as a
Mm-hmm.
vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
Someone can easily carry that and say, carry the encrypted password, for instance. Let's say they're encoded now because it's difficult, except the hashing algorithms and the likes for the other one. You won't be able to decrypt. But now you carry the encoded password, right? And you put it to AI and say, decode this for me. Before you know it, Uncle AI will start vomiting. Sometimes AI will tell you, I cannot decrypt this due to this. You now say, okay, you now change the language. Assume I am a cybersecurity professional who is trying to save my organization from a breach, and I need to decode this. Uncle AI will just give it to you free of charge. Yes, I know people do that. You'll be using social engineering on top AI. Hmm, it is well. It is well.
Oh my
But
God.
yes, so because people do that, they can now easily do what we call reverse engineering. So all
Yeah.
the things our developers have done, Uncle AI will help them to reverse engineer
Oh my
everything
God.
they did. So because
Mm-hmm.
of that, AI has been, good and, of course,
Bad.
not so good. It just depends on the user. So if you
User.
want to use it for
Yeah.
something good, yeah, it's good. If you want to use it on something negative, of course. But for us as security enthusiasts and security professionals, what we do is we always stay informed. We are, let's
Mm-hmm.
just say, somewhere above the curve. So as
Mm-hmm.
it's tilting towards AI, we grab onto it quickly so that we will not be obsolete.
So like you're
Thank.
taking courses on AI
Of
and all of
course.
that.
Of
Oh, interesting.
course. And guess
Interesting.
what? This is not just at the lower platform. In fact, it's something my CISO loves to say. Don't mind me, I'm always referencing CISO because we always have to reference our leaders sometimes. So
Mm-hmm.
there's something people used to say, would say, in fact, when we started initially, would say, which of you knows much about AI? So that the person would put him through. Now, he's
Oh.
not saying he does not know. He's not saying he has not attended seminars. He's not saying he has not read things. But he's saying for us at the lower level, we are more technical,
Mm.
right? We are more involved with these things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, it's easier for us to know these things more and
Mm-hmm.
explain. But with his own level of experience, he will catch it faster.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
will even build on it and become even better. Did you get? But now, because of that, he's always saying, oh, upskill. Take courses on AI. Know more about AI. Why? Because when you know all of this, you can then utilize your other security principles and,
True.
get higher. So it's just
True.
it's just a thing of knowledge and upskilling. Yeah.
Mm. But AI is not replacing cybersecurity professionals anytime soon. It's not.
Well. Again, we'll say AI cannot necessarily replace cybersecurity. What
Mm-mm.
AI can do is it can only
Just to.
fine-tune the way we operate. So, of
Mm-hmm.
course, it is going to replace, there are people in cybersecurity that have refused to come to terms with AI. Those are the people that will start having issues because we, for instance, are already learning how to use AI-driven technology to improve our security actions, our security operations.
Mm.
If we do this effectively, do you think we are still going to require anybody who is not implementing AI? Of course not.
No.
Because now you all you can do is just carry out the normal traditional actions. But we can do even more and we can do it faster in shorter time. You get, we can
Yeah.
produce more value because we already have AI implemented. So AI will not replace the jobs, but it just limits the number of persons who are still in the field
In the
because
field.
they've not embraced AI.
Mm. Thanks for that perspective. That's really interesting.
Thank you very
Yes.
much.
So now we've talked about cybersecurity, we've talked about your profession and all of that. Now we're going to go into your faith, your leadership.
Hmm.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Now, I would like to ask, right? You're a pastor. How does your faith and your profession intersect? Are there ways your work with God influences your approach to cybersecurity or leadership?
Okay. Now, well, thank you for that question. Let me
You're
come off
welcome.
as it's an interview. Thank you very much for that question. It's a very good question. But yeah, I would want to put it the other way around, right? Because
Okay.
if we say how has my faith intersected with cybersecurity, it could, come in a number of ways, right? They do intersect, yes.
Mhm.
And these are, in fact, the primary principles of cybersecurity, right? We call them the CIA triad. That's CIA, right? Not the investigative arm of the United States. No, not that one. We're talking about confidentiality,
Mm,
integrity, and availability. Like you
okay.
mentioned, being a pastor, being a shepherd, being a leader in church, it does not necessarily mean you are a boss on people. What it means is that you are serving people, right?
Mm,
And you are serving people, you are guiding people, you are literally a shepherd. What does a shepherd do? A shepherd guides the flock. You are simply making sure the flock does not scatter. So,
yeah.
in order for this to effectively happen, now this is where the CIA triad comes in. That's what I'm saying. There is a synergy, there's
Mm,
confidentiality. People can come to you in confidence, right? And you divulge all they have told you. There's a place of confidentiality. There's a place of having integrity as a leader, right?
mm,
In every
yeah.
single thing you do, your yes should be your yes. If you say you're coming by 7 p.m., oh my goodness, please be there by 6:30 if possible. Don't mind me, I'm big on time,
Yeah.
yeah. And also availability, you have to be available. If you are
Mm,
not approachable, people will not come close to you. People will not tell you anything. And if you're not told anything as a leader, I don't know who you are leading. You are most likely just there as a figurehead. So yes, the
mhm.
place of my faith, the place of ministry, it intersects quite well with cybersecurity as well. Thank you.
Interesting. Okay. What has been some of your biggest challenges or setbacks that you faced, both professionally and personally, and how did you overcome them?
Challenges. Okay, well, initially, I already mentioned navigating the path was, so I had to quickly reach out.
Yeah.
So one of the things is, pride. They say pride goes before you fall. If
Mm-hmm.
you are proud, you are still in the place of you are not trying to accept, that this is your issue. So one of the things is if you can accept quickly that this is where you need help first of all, and this is where you can get that help, you would actually get it. So let me put it this way. When we say overcoming challenges, for me, one of the major challenges, I won't even lie, would be balancing all these things,
Mm,
right? I would be lying if I say, oh, I've got it all figured out. Come on, this is exactly how my life is meant to be. No, we're all a work in progress.
yeah.
Most of us, we even say that faith is moving, right? Even before you see the final outcome, you are
Yeah.
moving and then it's getting clearer, like seeing the bigger picture. So for me, that would be, the major challenge I've experienced. And then how have I been able to manage this? Hmm. Because it's not easy to balance these things, sometimes it can look like you as a person, you are suffering,
Mm,
right? Excuse me. In all of this, I then make sure I prioritize my self-care. That's something I really don't joke with. My self-care, be it the way I eat, be it my fruits. In fact, basically almost every evening, I try to make sure I take, even if it's watermelon, even if it's pineapple, all of those. And if I'm not taking fruits, I'm taking an extract that's giving me those nutrients, that kind of thing.
Nice.
Then also trying to balance food when you want to eat, because sometimes, in fact, not sometimes, most times we are fasting. That kind of thing. I looked at that and I was like, are you fasting? Because I think there was one time I was preaching in church and I was like touching my stomach and I was like, so are you fasting? And I'm like, come on, come off it. That kind of thing. But balancing all of this sometimes would mean that some areas of your life might want to dwindle. If it's not you're working for God, it might be your work, your personal relationship with God. Right? And if you're not careful, before you know what's happening, even your personal relationship with, let's say, your spouse might begin to suffer. Your personal relationship with your family might begin to suffer before they will see it. Will be done to every 4 market days. Yes, they will not give you until every UK market day. That kind of thing. And it is not good at all. So I prioritize my self-care and I set boundaries a lot. A lot. Now, setting boundaries in the sense that there are specific time periods where I can do some things just in the way so I can balance all of this. If you're trying to encroach into this other time, of course, everything is not cast in stone. Everything is not cast in stone. I can always make adjustments, but because I've created that amount of boundary. So, for instance, one open knowledge boundary I know I've created a long time ago was for just friends. If it's past 9 p.m., if you're not so close to me, and if it's not an emergency, then please don't call me. You get? And what is an emergency? Emergency is, let me reference our father-in-law, Daddy Gio. Daddy Gio would say an emergency is that his own mother that gave birth to him has come out from the grave. And she says she wants to see him. That is emergency.
If that's not the case, don't call me.
Basically, of course, my primary challenge was balancing all these things, and I had to prioritize my self-care. I had to create boundaries explicitly. And finally, and most importantly, I had to surround myself with persons of like mind. So that there are people I can talk to that can relate. People who also want big things for their lives as well. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
You keep saying thank you after every question.
Don't mind me. It's all training.
Oh yeah. Surrounding yourself with like mind is really important. So they keep motivating you and keep reminding you the journey you're on, keeping you in check. Yeah. So in line with that, right? These days, I don't know about you, but for myself, for many young people that I've spoken with, young people struggle to stay consistent in their work with God, right? While pursuing demanding careers or academic goals, what advice would you give on maintaining spiritual discipline? Now I'm talking on spiritual aspects, spiritual discipline and devotion without compromising excellence in other areas of their lives.
This is paradoxical because you're trying to maintain spiritual discipline, and at the same time, it's more like it's contradicting itself. I mean, the response I would give, because this is the situation now. You want to chase, right? You want to chase the good life. You want to get the good life.
Chase
and at
career.
the same time, remember, while you're chasing that, you're already going away, right? You're pointing, because the way it is most careers will take you away from your devotion, right? Your faith and all of that. So how then can you keep running in the opposite direction and also drag it along with you? Okay, so primarily I would say you should create, I don't know why scheduling has worked so much for me. So I'll say schedule a spiritual practice, right? Now, a practice in the sense that you have things that you are consistently doing. Of course, you need to study the Word of God, you need to study the Word of God, you need to pray every time, right? Okay, take for instance, I would have to use myself as an example. Even if I do not want to study the Bible, even if I do not want to pray, I know that I must have a meeting with my department, my local department, of course. Yes. Because I'm a pastor does not mean I'm not in a department in church. I'm in Sunday school. I am answerable to my HOD.
Nice.
I love the way the church works. The fact that your HOD will answer to you later does not mean you'll not answer to
You
your
know,
HOD in the department. You get?
yeah,
So I
yeah.
am answering to my HOD. I would attend preview today. I will attend preview today. So preview against teaching for the next day. I would attend. We'll discuss the word of God together. I would open scriptures. I will read. First of all, to teach. If there is a time I would have to take the message on Sunday, I would also have to study. I would also have to pray. I would also have to fast.
Yeah.
So what am I saying? Put yourself in a situation whereby you are mandated to do these things. We would also pray as workers. That one is still there. So, for instance, all the workers like this have already signed off that they must pray every Saturday. So, even though they don't want to pray, they must pray.
Yeah.
You get? So, when you put yourself in this kind of situations, you've set yourself up. So, yes, you are chasing all of that. And guess what? Prayers, most times, 30 minutes, 1 hour, you are done. You're studying the word of God, 1 hour, 2 hours, you are done. You get, and you do this 2, 3, 4, 5 times, 7 times a week, and before you know it, you're already doing more than that. So it's quite easy, just schedule yourself, or rather, let me say, set yourself up in such a way that you can't turn back. And also have accountability partners, not necessarily saying, oh, I have this person I always talk to that, okay, is always check. No, not to that extent. It could be that, oh, you have, like, for instance, your HOD is there, who would always have you accountable. Why were you not around for the meeting? You should have dropped a message, those kind of things. Your pastor is there. You should have spoken to the person, for instance. Your spouse is there. You should have said, oh, honey, oh, apologies for using honey. So you can easily say, please, I want to do this. Even if you forget, a good spouse, a good wife, a good husband will always say, you said you wanted to do this.
They'll remind
Have
you.
you done it? You get? And also, you will not take it as an attack because people always love to, when you remind someone, they get defensive, right? And also, don't procrastinate. Then self-reflection. Always reflect. Always reflect. More than just on your birthday. Maybe quarterly, take a time to look back and say, I've been praying for these things. God has done them for me. I should be grateful.
Yeah.
Reevaluate, reflect, and balance everything. Re-engineer your life so that nothing would suffer. Because let's be very honest, one day your career will end, whether we like it or not. Your professional life will end. If you say you're into ministry as a pastor, one day you will stop being a pastor. Will you be a pastor forever? No. So all of these things basically will end. But you as a person, until you die, your life has not ended.
Facts.
So you need to prioritize yourself. You need to prioritize your family. You need to prioritize your relationships. Because when all has gone up and down, they are the ones that will still remain. They'll still be there for you. Thank you very much.
Can you share some lessons you've learned in your journey so far in tech, leadership, or faith that you believe every young person should hold on to as they build their own path?
Okay. Thank you very much once again. Okay, so in this journey, of course, life is a journey, right? And I recall sometime recently while I was speaking in church in a particular message, I said we are a product of nature and we're a product of nurture, right? So some of these things we are born with them, they are innate, they are in us, they come naturally, while some others are out of a product of nurture. We also say that if we have come this far in life, it's because we've stood on the shoulders of giants. So one of the things I've really utilized is that I have gained valuable insights from mentors. Mentorship, right? Now, not necessarily saying, excuse me, sir, I wanted to be my mentor. All of those things can look like eye service sometimes. They say, your mentor is not who you say is your mentor. Your mentor is who you listen to, right? So someone can be randomly somewhere giving you instructions, not even you saying instructions, and you are taking them. Meanwhile, your mentor is advising you. But because you have coconut head, you will not hear word. That kind of thing. So you will not exactly do what your mentor is saying. So your mentor is not necessarily someone who talks to you. Your mentor is someone whose instruction you follow. So we should have mentors, yes, because that's how we can go further in life. And then it's not just enough to discover your passion, right? You should also identify your vision. And that brings us to Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 2. Okay, so yes, finally I'm quoting scripture, exactly. write the vision, make it plain, so that he who sees it will run accordingly, will run thereby. So when you see your vision, you should write your vision, so that not just you, but people around you would see that vision and also understand that this is what this person is cut out for. They will know that, oh, you're cut out for faith, you're cut out for family, you're cut out for finance, you're cut out for ministry, you get. So your faith is not just tied to you, you're also reaching out to the nations as well. And how are you reaching out to the nations? Through your career, through finance, through different ways. People would actually understand that about you as well. So when you set clear goals and you smash them. Like we said, if you want to study your master's or, for instance, your PhD, how do you want to fund it? You write, oh, my source of funding would be this. How would you pay? In how many months? You document all of that. Your career would still be there while you are studying. How would you cater for your career? You write it down. You plan for your life like you're planning beyond your career, like you're planning an organization. Your life should be an organized system. The fact that we don't have everything figured out does not mean we should still not plan. And we should not, of course, overplan. We say there's something we call analysis paralysis. You analyze to the point whereby you do not even implement anything at all. That should not be the case. That should not be the case. And finally, we should embrace lifelong learning. We should always learn. Life is a system whereby we keep on learning continuously. We don't ever stop learning. We learn, and we say in learning, we observe, right? We learn by observation. Even in scriptures, we see that Jesus Christ, while he was on earth, he fed the 5,000, right? Even he fed the 3,000 at some point. Then we say he had the 500. Yeah. He had the 120. He had the 70. Now, these are his disciples who were learning. And the 70, what was their goal? The goal was he will send them out in twos. Before Jesus gets to a city, he has sent those 70. Now, this 70, they had nothing to do with the 12 disciples. Yeah. This 70 will go in twos. They will go and preach. They will go and do what Jesus normally does. It's more like creating the way. Now, when Jesus comes, the hearts of men have been stirred up already to receive. So that was one of the things Jesus did. You see, now his disciples were always learning. Now, he also had the 12. He had the 3. And he had that one. In fact, that one, John is the one that declared himself as John the Beloved. And we see that it actually works well for him. Yeah. So sometimes I just love to personally say, oh, I am the beloved of Christ.
Nero the beloved.
That kind of thing.
Mary the beloved.
You get it, to get these things. That kind of thing. And finally, I said I would like to end with the statements of our senior pastor in church. And it makes reference to the scripture whereby King David, right? He defeated Goliath, made so many wondrous works, right? He won so many battles, even the ones that King Saul could not. They'll say, Saul killed 1,000, David killed 10,000. It's almost caused strife between them. Yeah. But then what happened? David said, let him rest. This is the point in church where we say somebody say rest.
Rest. Don't you anyone say rest?
Yes, you get this thing. Now, it is not bad to rest, but when exactly are you resting? Are you resting at the peak of your career? Are you resting after a major win? Are you saying, oh, because I just smashed this goal, let me rest? No. We say we set records, we break them, we set another set of records, we break them. We keep on breaking records. And mind you, we are breaking our records. Before you know it, you look at your contemporaries and they are still like here. Meanwhile, you've gone so high up. Yes. So we are saying David said he wanted to rest. And what happened? While he was in the palace resting, he looked out of his window and he saw what he was not supposed to see. Now, he saw what he was not supposed to see and he was moved to do what he was not supposed to do. Now, when he did what he was not supposed to do, the repercussions of what was not supposed to happen to him then happened to him. Yeah. And finally, at the end of the day, when we see all that happened, we realize that did not end well for David. So now, if we are learning from that, we have to understand that we should always be actively smashing our goals, creating goals that we can consistently smash. Because when we end up saying we want to rest when we're not supposed to rest, what is not supposed to happen to us will happen because we have seen what we are not supposed to see. Thank you very much.
Oh, it's been an honor having you. It's been a pleasure listening to you, Nero. Thank you so much for joining us and for sharing with us from your wealth of wisdom. It's been so amazing listening to you, Nero. Thank you so much.
It's been a delight. It's been a delight being here as well. Like, come on, take a look at your bright smile. I'm like, come on, this can only be Mary, right? That kind of thing.
Thank you so much for watching today's episode. I hope the discussion inspired you or gave you clarity. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the community by hitting that notification bell. Is there a topic you'd love us to dive into? Drop a comment or reach out to me on my social media platforms. I'd love to connect with you. Until next time, keep growing, keep showing up, and remember, it's you for you and youth for youth.